Night falls over the western Mediterranean. The water is calm. The coasts of Sicily glow with scattered fires. For centuries, merchants have crossed these waters in peace, believing trade would always rule this sea. They are wrong, because tonight, two powers stare at each other across the waves, both convinced they cannot back down. One is old, rich, and confident. The other is young, relentless, and learning faster than anyone expected. And only one of them will shape the world that follows. This is not a story of inevitable Roman victory. It is the story of how Rome almost disappeared. Welcome to the channel. Here we study moments when history could have turned the other way. We look at discipline, systems, and long-term choices rather than simple heroes and single battles. Because history is rarely decided in a single clash. It is decided by people refusing to quit when quitting feels reasonable. The Punic Wars are often described as contests between two great powers, Rome and Carthage, for control of the Mediterranean. But that description is too small. This isn't just about Rome conquering territory. It is about why Rome was not erased from the map by a richer, more experienced rival. It is about why a republic built by farmers survived a storm that should have broken it. And it is about the system of discipline that let Rome endure not one war, but three, against the same enemy. So how did this happen? To understand, we need to step back before Hannibal, before elephants crossing mountains, before armies clashed at sea. For generations, Carthage was the master of Western Mediterranean trade. It was a maritime empire built on ports, ships, and contracts. Its power rested on money, commerce, and the ability to hire the best soldiers in the world. Carthaginian generals commanded armies made of professionals from Iberia, North Africa, and Gaul. This was not weakness, it was efficiency. Carthage bought skill rather than raising mass citizen armies. Rome was different. It had no great fleet. It had almost no overseas empire. It was a land power, shaped by infantry service, citizen duty, and a culture that treated loss as training rather than failure. It expanded slowly across Italy, absorbing cities, sharing citizenship, and turning enemies into allies. This created something subtle but powerful, a reservoir of manpower and loyalty. The pressure between these two systems built over time. Carthage dominated the sea lanes, Rome dominated the land of Italy. Their spheres touched in one place, Sicily, a wealthy island, a crossroads of trade. Whoever controlled Sicily would not just gain land, they would gain leverage over both systems. The First Punic War began not because either side sought global conquest, but because neither side could afford to let the other dominate this strategic center. The assumption among many observers at the time was simple: Carthage would win. Rome had no experience at sea. Carthage had generations of it. The war should have been brief. It was not. Here is where the turning point appears, not as a single dramatic moment, but as a decision repeated again and again. Rome chose to fight a kind of war it did not yet know how to fight. And instead of accepting its disadvantages, it built the tools it lacked. Rome constructed fleets from almost nothing. It copied ship designs from Carthaginian vessels that ran aground and mass-produced them at astonishing speed. This alone did not guarantee success. Raw ships are not skill. Roman crews were inexperienced. They could not maneuver like Carthage's sailors. So Rome made another quiet decision. If they could not outsail Carthage, they would not fight as sailors. They would fight as infantry on water. The Roman solution was the boarding bridge, allowing their soldiers to turn naval battles into floating land engagements. This was not an act of brilliance in a single flash. It was the result of a system that always returned to one question: given our strengths, how do we change the battlefield? Carthage now faced something new. Their elegant naval maneuvers mattered less when Roman ships rammed forward and locked into close combat. Sea became land. Sailors faced legionaries. The pattern of war shifted. But this did not instantly make Rome dominant. Fleets sank. The storms destroyed entire armadas. Tens of thousands died at sea. By any normal standard, Rome should have stopped. Economically and emotionally, the losses were enormous. They did not stop. This is where the psychological core of the Punic Wars lies. The Roman Republic possessed a cultural discipline that treated catastrophic loss as proof that greater effort was required. When fleets vanished, new fleets were built. When commanders failed, replacements stepped forward. When hope faded, the Senate simply refused to acknowledge that defeat was permanent. Carthage, for its part, did not collapse. It produced commanders of extraordinary talent. It adapted, it won battles, it inflicted defeats that would have broken most states. And yet the war dragged on decade after decade because neither side could afford the consequences of losing. Carthage risked its trade empire. Rome risked its existence. Then came the second great act of this story: Hannibal. Hannibal Barca was not just bold. He represented a strategic decision by Carthage to bring the war to Italy itself, to break Rome's alliances, to shatter its confidence, to make the Republic bleed on its own soil. His crossing of the Alps with war elephants has become legend, but the true power of this move lies not in spectacle, it lies in psychology. Rome, for the first time, faced a hostile professional army moving through its heartland. Here, discipline was tested not in victory, but in restraint. Roman armies rushed to confront Hannibal and were destroyed, most famously at Cannae, where tens of thousands of Roman soldiers were encircled and annihilated. This was one of the worst defeats in Roman history. It should have broken the Republic. Many assumed it would. It did not. The Roman system did something unexpected after Cannae. It refused decisive battle. Instead of charging toward emotional revenge, Rome shifted toward endurance. It fortified cities. It shadowed Hannibal without engaging him on his chosen terms. It cut supply lines. It leaned on its alliance network. The Republic chose patience over glory. This was the real turning point. Carthage's reliance on hired forces meant its army required ongoing payment and supply from afar. Hannibal was brilliant, but he was isolated in enemy territory. Rome, even after catastrophic defeat, continued to raise new legions. Its citizens understood that survival meant commitment beyond a single generation of soldiers. Slowly, inevitably, the momentum shifted. The final outcome did not happen by accident. Rome carried the war back to Africa. Hannibal was recalled to defend Carthage itself. At Zama, he faced a Roman army led by Scipio, an opponent who had studied him carefully and adapted his tactics. The battle ended with Roman victory, but the reason it worked was larger than the clash itself. Rome could project power overseas because it had built the infrastructure, fleets and experience through years of persistence. Carthage was not destroyed in that moment, but its role in the Mediterranean changed forever. The Second Punic War ended with harsh terms. Carthage was constrained, monitored, and weakened, yet it recovered economically, rebuilt parts of its trade network, and endured long enough for a third and final conflict. The Third Punic War was shorter, more brutal, and more decisive. It was shaped by Roman fear and memory, the memory of a rival that had once nearly annihilated them. When Rome finally destroyed Carthage, it was not an impulsive act of conquest. It was the culmination of decades of anxiety and determination to ensure that the threat would never return. The larger impact of the Punic Wars reaches far beyond the ruins of Carthage. Rome emerged not simply as a regional power, but as the central authority of the Western Mediterranean. Its navy dominated sea routes. Its legions had experienced fighting in multiple theaters. Its political system had survived existential crisis and proven capable of mobilizing society at massive scale. The wars hardened Rome into an imperial state. Without the Punic Wars, Roman expansion into Spain, North Africa, and eventually the Eastern Mediterranean may never have unfolded in the same way. The structures that would later govern an empire stretching from Britain to the Middle East were shaped in these years by failure, adaptation, and relentless rebuilding, and something deeper changed. Rome learned that total victory was possible and sometimes desirable. That belief would echo through its later conquests and through the history of Europe itself. So what should we take from this? The Punic Wars are not just stories of battles or famous generals. They reveal how systems behave under extreme pressure. Carthage relied on wealth, experience, and hired skill. Rome relied on citizenship, obligation, and a refusal to accept final defeat. Neither approach was simple. Neither was morally clean. But only one created the momentum that would build an empire. Rome survived because it kept going when every reasonable signal said stop. It changed methods when old ones failed. It learned from disaster without collapsing under it. That is not hero worship. That is institutional endurance. And now the question turns to you. Which moment in this struggle do you think was the real point of no return? Was it the first fleet built from nothing? Was it Hannibal's arrival in Italy? Or was it Rome's decision after Cannae to slow down and outlast rather than rush toward revenge? Tell me in the comments which part of this story should become its own episode. If you want more calm cinematic explorations of history's turning points, the decisions, systems, and pressures that shaped our world, consider subscribing and liking this video. It helps the channel grow, and it tells the algorithm that this type of serious historical storytelling matters. The Mediterranean is quiet now. The fires of Carthage are long gone, but the choices made in those wars still echo in our maps, our languages, and our ideas of power. History does not move because of destiny. It moves because people persist longer than anyone expects.